All right, it is 2 minutes after the hour, so let's get started. Welcome everyone to this really exciting update webinar. Just a little bit of housekeeping. I'm Paul Connecton, formerly CMO of Beeswax. I'm now the Executive Director of Marketing here at FreeWheel. And really excited to bring you this webinar today. We're working really hard on giving you an update on what we've been up to. I won't steal any of our talent's thunder here, but just want to let you know we do love questions. So if you want to ask a question, please use the Q&A feature that's at the bottom of your screen, and we will hopefully be able to get to all of them today. To that end, I will go ahead and turn it over to our hosts, Ari Paparo, Shamim Samadi. They're two of the three co-founders of Beeswax, and I'll let them do quick little bios here, and we'll keep going. And when you need the next slide, folks, just say next.
Thanks, Paul, and thanks everyone for joining us. As you can see, Shamim and I are still here. We're still alive, yay. We were gonna hold up like newspapers that had the date on it so you can make sure we're still here. Thanks for joining us. This is super exciting to give you an update on what we're up to. We're now part of the FreeWheel family, so both Shamim and I and Ram, our third co-founder, are now part of the FreeWheel organization. I've changed roles a little bit where I'm focusing on strategy and partnerships as opposed to just working on Beeswax, but still very involved. And Shamim, do you want to say hi, talk about your role?
Yeah, good to be here. So my new role at FreeWheel is sort of continuing to look after Beeswax as the portfolio of the demand products within FreeWheel. So, Beeswax is core to that and sort of the biggest area of focus, but there's other demand sort of products as part of the FreeWheel portfolio as well.
Great, if you go to the next slide, Paul. The reason we're having this webinar is to give an update for customers and also prospects and people involved with Beeswax about what we've been working on. So our roadmap and some really exciting product development that's been happening at Beeswax. Talk about how we're bringing FreeWheel synergy. So FreeWheel as a company has all kinds of interesting products, and Beeswax is going to integrate and take advantage of some of those. And then the longer term vision as well as Q&A. We would hope that at the end of this, you're getting a better sense of what we're working on, how we're prioritizing things, and hopefully getting pretty excited about what's in store for the future. Move to the next slide. I want to start out by saying that Beeswax is still committed to innovation. I think if you think about Beeswax versus the other DSPs in the market, I think we're known for innovation, known for being on the technical cutting edge on a lot of things, and giving our customers a lot of control and power, and that really hasn't changed. So the deal to acquire Beeswax closed in late January, so we've been part of FreeWheel for only about 2 months, 2.5 months. The product roadmap process led by Shamim and his team is continuing uninterrupted. We just did the Q2 planning. We're continuing to push out a lot of product, as Shamim will talk. That's kind of the bulk of the content of this webinar. We are continuing our policy or our tradition of doing a monthly product email newsletter. So anyone who's a current customer is getting an email once a month with all the great stuff we're pushing out. Sometimes it's just a couple little things. Sometimes there's some major product announcements. It's one of the ways that we keep disciplined internally to make sure we're constantly pushing out new products for the immediate future. That's going to continue. And lastly, and this is a question we get the most, is like, while a lot of the synergies relating to FreeWheel have to do with video and connected TV, which is effectively the fastest growing and hottest area of programmatic advertising, we're still committed to non-video formats. We're still committed to being a broad buying platform. And notably, as a proof point for that, we just released our Triple Lift integration, which is a great partner of ours to expand our native capabilities. So that came out in I think March. So the investment in broad based DSP-like features continues. Probably all of you have heard of FreeWheel. Some of you may be FreeWheel customers or may be very aware of FreeWheel, but if you're not, we just put one quick slide together about what is FreeWheel. So FreeWheel is one of the largest scaled ad tech companies in the world. About 1,500 employees. That's actually a lot larger than I thought it was when we started our dialogue with FreeWheel about the acquisition. Really large engineering team around the world, New York, Beijing, etc. Really scaled solution. I think that it's fair to say that FreeWheel is a leader in the ad serving market with the industry's leading video ad server used by sort of a leading media companies around the world, broadcasters, MVPDs, et cetera. But also FreeWheel has some really scaled products in other areas like its exchange products, marketplace tech, what used to be known as sticky ads, and it's a really important player in the exchange market. The Strata, which is a buy-side tool for agencies, and a bunch of other products related to the video and TV ecosystems. So that's just kind of really quick background. Beeswax, about 10% of the size of FreeWheel in terms of employees, a little less than employees, revenue, et cetera. We're a big part of the team now, and we're really excited about how we come together to create new solutions. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Shamim to talk about our product development and our roadmap.
Great, thanks, Ari. So, I'm really going to focus on what we think of as near-term sort of product roadmap. So think of this over the next 6 months. And a lot of this stuff, we have a lot of clarity on the dates, and I'll give you guys the months where things are going to be released to the extent that I can. So I'll start with we're calling it building a better Hive, which is really the core features to the BaaS product and our DSP. So Paul, if you go to the next slide. So the first area is around workflow and trafficking. So this is an area, obviously, for existing customers where you've seen us invest a ton. So our new version of targeting, bulk edit targeting, our entirely new report builder, we redid that whole product and added a ton of features. So this continues to be a core part of our focus. We think just bringing sort of workflow and trafficking efficiency to make it easier to do more powerful things in the platform, that's a key part of our product roadmap, which we're continuing on. So if you go to the next slide, I'll give you a couple examples. So we just launched in our April release, which just went out yesterday, a new line item type, which is a guaranteed line item. So previously, buying on a guaranteed basis in programmatic is becoming sort of, more and more part of people's buying portfolio. And while we supported programmatic guaranteed, it was easy to make errors in the platform, to be frank, right? There's a lot of sort of business logic that lives on the publisher side ad server and not controlled on the buy side. And so, as customers have started to buy more and more on a guaranteed basis, we've built a new line item type, which takes the guesswork out of it, does all the validation, ensures that you set up your guaranteed line item in the correct way, so that you don't run into issues when it comes to bidding. So I'm excited about this one. This works across all of the exchanges where we have programmatic guaranteed, and I'll talk about some of those exchanges later. And this one just went out. We go to the next slide. The next thing around sort of workflow and trafficking is a feature that we're launching next month, which we're calling our deal library. So, this is both for guaranteed deals, non-guaranteed deals, but we see more and more transactions going through deal constructs with the different SSPs, and we think it makes a ton of sense to build a set of tools that make bringing your own deals into the platform, reusing them, altering bids on those deals, et cetera, more core part of the platform. So there's sort of two features that we're releasing. On the left-hand side, there's this notion of you can bring your own deals to the platform, and there'll be first-class sort of objects that you can then use later in targeting and other parts of the platform. So you strike the deals, you bring them to the platform, provide all the metadata about them, including the floor price, the publishers, et cetera. Those become reusable deals that are in the platform. The second part of it, if we look at sort of the right-hand side, is around how you could then use those deals in targeting. So, you'll be able to select deals that you've previously created in the deal library, but sort of more importantly, you'll be able to have CPM controls on the deal level directly in targeting. So you may want to bid differently on different deals. Different deals have different floor CPMs and different bid prices. Previously, you may have to create a bid modifier and alter your bids that way. with this new feature, you'll be able to alter the bids on a deal level directly in targeting. Just removes a ton of steps and friction, and we think will be a lot more efficient. And the future of this product is that we will, so while the first phase is sort of you bringing your deals and adding that workflow, there's a second phase, which will be Beeswax will, sort of procure and curate deals that can be always on and be available to our customers. It'll live in the same sort of construct as the deal library, which we're building. So really excited about this one. This is will be in next month's release in May. We go to the next one. So the next sort of area I'm going to talk about is optimization. Obviously, an area we've invested a ton with the different products that we have across, bid modifiers, delivery modifiers, bid models, et cetera. So I'm going to talk about a couple of things which also really tie into workflow and trafficking, but are focused on optimization. So Paul, if we go to the next slide. So again, in the spirit of sort of improving the workflow and making our features more feature rich, we're launching an enhanced bid modifier feature. So we're taking our bid modifiers similar to how we took targeting, and we did a new version of targeting, which was more powerful in terms of features and workflow and UI. We're doing the same thing with our modifier products, which are heavily used features, which are quite complex with sort of workflow. And so we think it's going to add a ton of value by launching a new version and rethinking the UI and UX and adding some features. So like one thing to note is on the feature sort of lens, segment recency, which is a feature we just launched recently for targeting, will be part of the new bid modifier, enhanced bid modifiers. So there'll be new features that were not previously available in bid modifiers. And then of course, sort of the entire workflow, the UI, UX, we've really thought about how we can make it more powerful, fewer clicks, and more trader friendly. And so this, the new version of bid modifiers is going to be available in June. And we're really excited about this one. The next slide is really about delivery modifiers. So as you know, bid modifiers are around altering your bid price. Delivery modifiers, on the other hand, is around controlling the budget allocation for different inventory segments, right? So it's a feature that we launched about a year ago, year and change ago, and we're seeing a lot of usage of the feature, and we're just giving it an entire sort of doubling down on the feature to be honest, and adding a bunch of new features. So the first thing we're doing, you'll see it sort of we're obviously enhancing the UI UX, but we're enabling customers to have sort of multi-column delivery modifiers. So today you have to pick a single thing. You may want to modify on a deal ID, but if you wanted to do a deal ID, operating system combination, you wouldn't be able to do that in the UI. You'd have to use our more advanced delivery models feature. With this launch, you'll be able to have multi-columns or multi-feature delivery modifiers directly in the UI. And we're also adding a quite useful feature around having while you can still give a weight to that sort of combination of features, you can also add a cap. So you may not want to spend over a certain amount on a certain segment of inventory. Say you're doing some exploration and you don't want too much of the spend to go to one segment. You can tell our pacing system to cap it at a certain certain amount of impressions or spend, and we'll respect that. So this is also part of the June release. So with the June release, we'll get a new version of bid modifiers and delivery modifiers with a bunch of the enhancements that I just walked through. Great. So the next sort of theme is around advanced analytics. So this is something obviously we've done a ton with Report Builder, with custom dashboards, and have been investing a lot with Antenna for raw logs. This is a key area of a focus for us, and we're excited about the next two big launches in this area. So the first one I'll talk about, if we go to the next slide, is availability forecasting. So this is sort of a long time ask in the product. While we have a set of capabilities through meta markets and logs and other sort of tools to help get closer to forecasting, there have been a couple of sort of shortcomings of those features. One has been that we haven't included the notion of segments or audience, which is obviously critical. The second is that it hasn't been integrated as part of the trafficking workflow. Like, users would have to go to one part of the system to get a forecast and another place to sort of execute the line item. With this release, we're solving both of those things. So the new forecasting product will be part of the line item workflow. A trafficker would create their line item with all their targeting, including segments and pre-bid segments and audience segments, et cetera. And within the line item, they'll be able to get a view of the available auctions, for that line item, given all of its targeting. We're, really excited about this one. We think this will just give our customers a lot of insight into what auctions are available given their audience and other targeting. The first version will be around availability. So this is around how many available auctions are there. Future iterations will include what we think of as delivery, which is, given my bid price, what can I expect to deliver? So this first version is really around available auctions, and future ones will be around delivery. This is also in our June release, and you'll see there's June is going to be a big release month for us. The next one I'll talk about is what we're calling our bid decision flow. And we may have, for current customers, we may have referred to this in previous roadmaps as a no bid reason report. But this is really, we're calling it bid decision flow. This is around, for a given line item, why am I not bidding? What are the reasons for which this line item is not bidding? So things like, is it targeting that's causing it? Is it creative dimensions or creative attributes? Is it my frequency cap? Am I constrained by budget, et cetera, et cetera? And seeing that in sort of an actual visual flow that shows, this is the primary reason. Once we pass, sort of just like going from left to right, is it, targeting is causing it not to match a certain amount. But after it passes targeting, these are the other reasons why the line item is not matching. And the goal here is also to provide this sort of view, again, directly in the line item context, similar to forecasting. So, there'll be a new, analytics tab as part of the line item workflow. You'll be able to get your forecast. You'll be able to troubleshoot your and see the reasons why you're not bidding. And we think this will just provide customers with a ton of data that will enable them to make decisions on their own. Also in the June release. So June is going to be a big release month for us. So now I'll transition to a couple of the we're calling FreeWheel synergies. Like, what are the features that are going to work better with FreeWheel, given that we're part of the same company? So I'll talk about two things in particular. So the first, if we go to the next slide, is around, well, both things are around the area of supply. So how can we give our customers access to the most premium supply, video supply available through FreeWheel, give them the product and tools to make that easy to access. So the first feature, which we just launched as part of the April release that just went out yesterday, is FreeWheel Programmatic Guaranteed. So really excited about this one. About 90% of premium video runs on FreeWheel. So all of these publishers that are available on this slide are FreeWheel publishers who have supply available through programmatic guaranteed deals. And we think sort of, unlocking this sort of supply is going to be critical for our buyers. As you know, with premium video in particular, a lot of it is oversold. A lot of it is, it's very much supply constrained. So accessing this sort of inventory through programmatic channels, oftentimes, not always, needs to happen through a guaranteed model. And so we're really excited about this. We're certified. This is available as of yesterday as part of our release. and more details in our release note for our existing customers. The next feature that we're launching really is around, taking this notion of deals, which currently is more one-to-one deals. So as a buyer today, you would have to, work with each of those individual publishers and set up programmatic guaranteed deals, et cetera. We're working on a new solution which will allow customers within Beeswax on a buyer to initiate deals on FreeWheel. And these are multi-publisher deals where the buyer is initiating it. And it's all sort of, the workflow and the planning and the execution all can happen within the Beeswax UI. So really excited about this one. So the way that it works at a high level is it is built on top of the deal library idea that we're launching in May, which is, you can initiate a new deal and then pick the publishers, pick your dates and budget and frequency cap, et cetera, directly within the Beeswax UI, generate a deal that then gets booked in FreeWheel. That deal is now available for you to target and buy in a line item to optimize the price, et cetera. So this will include both guaranteed and non-guaranteed deals, multi-publisher deals, and we're really excited about this one, sort of removing the friction and making it more, making it a more seamless experience. And this one we expect Q3 of this year. So this is in active development right now. And to sort of round it out, just to summarize and give you a sense of timeline, again, this is the near-term roadmap. We tend to do readouts on a 6-month basis. There's going to be an even meatier sort of Q3, Q4 roadmap as well that we will share with our customers. But in the near term, April, we just launched a couple of really exciting features. May, expect the deal library. June, expect a whole lot of features around the new modifiers, both bid and delivery, forecasting, bid decision flow. And then in Q3, the advanced deal access workflow will be available. And a lot more to come. So, but we're really excited about the next 6 months. So I'll hand it back to Ari.
Yeah, thanks, Shamim. That was awesome. So I hope everyone's pretty excited about the really impactful major features that are coming out. As you can tell, there's sort of a theme, which is moving towards more premium buying behavior, more direct buying behavior, which is really following the market, where I think the overall programmatic market, especially as it relates to video, is increasingly looking at direct deals, PMPs, programmatic guaranteed, et cetera. And a lot of our product development is doubling down on that. So moving forward, we expect a lot more. So if you go to the next slide, we expect there to be continued innovation around Beeswax and also around how we work with FreeWheel. And while we don't have anything further to announce, the areas we're increasingly investing in are around advanced digital TV. So moving beyond connected TV, but also to addressable and linear, and taking advantage of some of the incredible footprint and investment that FreeWheel has to continue to innovate in that area. On pricing, we're increasingly trying to enable customers who may want only a subset of the powerful Beeswax features and want something that's a little bit easier to get started on. So if there are folks on this call who've previously been concerned about Beeswax because of our BAS model with high commitments, I would encourage you to reach out to your sales rep to talk about that. And lastly, data and identity. So Comcast obviously is incredibly committed to consumer privacy and to making sure that the consumer data is held in very securely. But it's also investing heavily in these areas, Comcast and FreeWheel. And so we're looking to leverage those investments as we move past the cookie and into kind of the new frontier of identity. So I don't have anything to talk about on that. And if I know someone is going to ask the question in the Q&A, like, hey, can we get the data? And we don't have anything to talk about on that subject, but it's an area we're going to continue to invest in and do discovery on. So there's a lot more to do. You know, I think it's pretty incredible that just 2 months after the acquisition, we have a roadmap this powerful that's really grounded in reality. It's not about things we might do or we're thinking about doing. It's stuff we're actually doing. And there'll be a lot more to come once we really get integrated and get the minds and product engineering, you know, all aligned on what's possible in the future. So I think with that, we're going to open to QA.
Yeah,
Q&A.
great. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and you can't really see the Q&A without exiting the full screen mode. So I'm just going to go and stop sharing. And we will get to our first question. First question, will Deal Builder be accessible through the API?
Yes, it will be. So that's a good question. So, you know, in general, as we build new features, we continue to be committed to making features available via the API. So you can continue to expect any feature that we release, you know, maybe with few exceptions, maybe around forecasting or things of that nature, to be backed by an API that you can develop against. So Deal Library being no different.
Great. And then our next and currently last question is, in being in such a larger company, do you expect to get access to more resources to accelerate the roadmap, or is Beeswax staying largely on its own?
I think we do. I mean, the engineering team is quite large inside FreeWheel, and that was definitely one of the conversations those had prior. I think that you know, Beeswax, we were growing as fast as we could. We were up to, you know, a bit over 100 employees when we were acquired, but there's a lot of opportunity here, and I think in order to have a full-featured DSP that keeps up with all the changes in the industry, we really need to you know, bring more resources to bear. So we're hoping that will happen over the next 6 months.
Okay, thank you, Ari. Thank you, Shamim. This has been great. And for everyone interested, there will be a recording of this available on our website in the next couple of days. So hope everyone is staying healthy, staying happy, staying safe, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.